Hello and welcome dear students. Today we are going to talk about the art under Guptas. After reading this lecture, we will understand why the Gupta period is considered as the golden age of culture as well as witness the incredible development of architecture, sculpture and painting throughout the Gupta period. The learning objectives of this lecture are a brief history of the Gupta period, which marks the beginning of the classical phase in Indian art, and the surge of literary activity and high standards set by literature of this era. First, let's talk about the introduction. The Gupta period has often been referred to as Golden Age due to its cultural heritage. This is true of significant achievements in the field of art, language and literature. As a result of the exceptional standards attained by creative and literary manifestations of this time, the Gupta age stands out as a significant and noteworthy departure from preceding historical periods, notably in the cultural history of India. The Gupta monarchs worshipped Hindu gods and goddesses, sported Sanskrit intellectuals and lavishly rewarded artists. Art and literature reached a degree of quality unparalleled by any of their predecessors during the reign of the Guptas. Although the Vakatakas had supported and encouraged the development of art and architecture, it was under the Guptas that these developments really took off. The monarchs, aristocracy and other wealthy individuals are also rationally inferred to have had the kind of riches that allowed them to devote a sizable portion of their earnings to supporting writers and artists. Through the use of art, language and literature, we will attempt to describe the cultural evolution and cultural legacy of the Guptas in this lecture. The large-scale support provided by the Gupta sovereigns for cultural endeavours is reflected in the literary and archaeological marvels that we will here be reviewing about. Dear students, let's now talk about the architecture under Guptas. The Gupta era is referred to as the Brahmanical resurrection period. The Gupta kings had a strong desire to construct temples and erect statues of their worshipped deities Ishata Deva there. Due to the Bhakti philosophy and the growing importance of image worship, freestanding temples with a cella or sanctuary called the Garbhagriha, where the deity's image was kept, were built. Numerous such temples from this time period are documented. Stone or brick were used as a building materials. At first, they were compact buildings with central shrines and roofs with sprouts for simple water drainage. Temple number 17 in Sanchi, which is next to the Chaitya Hall, is the oldest Gupta temple still standing. It has a good design. It consists of a square chamber that is enclosed and has a veranda in front with columns. This scheme evolved into the fundamental concept for building the temples of the later Gupta and post-Gupta periods. The construction of Gupta temples is an evolution from the older practice of rock-cut shrines, which has now advanced to a completely new levels. It denotes the initial stage of temple building in India. Yet, it was a crucial stage that had an impact on temple development well into the medieval era. This period set the groundwork for the vast future possibilities that would later become the basis for the distinctive architectural styles of Indian temples. The Gupta era exhibits an intense sense of beauty and creative fervor. In addition to building structures, cave architecture was also popular. Since this time, people have been aware of the astonishingly magnificent paintings found in the Ajanta caves. This time period is also represented by the cave temple at Udaygiri, close to Vidisha in present-day Madhya Pradesh. The cave has 20 rock-cut rooms, 2 of which bear inscriptions that may be reliably dated to the time of Chandragupta II. Because they constitute the first completely body of Hindu art in India, these carvings are significant. They provide a proof that several Hindu iconographic concepts were well established by the beginning of the 5th century CE. It is important to remember that despite being largely centered on the Brahminical faith, abundant architectural activity was not limited to it. We may see structural remnants of beautiful Gupta era stupas, chaityas and viharas at the Buddhist sites in Sarnath, then Rajgrih, Nalanda, then Julayan and Mohra Maradu, Pushkalvati, which is ancient Gandhara region, and etc. The Dhamek stupa in Sarnath is impressive due to the numerous geometric patterns and creative embellishments. This period is represented by the earliest brick buildings at the Buddhist university that Kumaragupta first constructed in Nalanda. Another impressive example of this period's architecture is the Buddhist temple at Nalanda, which is 300 feet tall. There is historical proof that wealthy guilds, merchants and artisans, in addition to the aristocracy, funded the construction of Buddhist chaityas, cave construction in western Maharashtra and the monasteries at Kanheri, Bhaja, Junar, Bhedsa, they are all in Maharashtra. In Andhra Desha or Andhra Pradesh, several stupas and viharas also sprouted up around the parts of present-day Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Karnataka. It is also reported that there was a Jain temple at Rajgir called the Maninaga. Dear students, let's now talk about the sculptures. Gupta sculpture exhibits great level of ability and masterful execution. The primary contribution of this period was the creation of ideal pictures, both Buddhist and Brahminical. The visitor gets the impression that the sculptor used a chisel to turn the stone into works of everlasting beauty and grace. It is arguable that the image-making activity of this era is characterized by a firm, intelligent and full comprehension and grasp of fundamental principles and genuine purpose of sculpture, a highly developed idea of beauty and expertise in steady hands. There are several statues from this time period that portray a wide range of Brahminical deities such as Vishnu, Shiva, Kartikeya, Ganesha, Surya and etc., as well as Buddhist and Jaina figures including the Buddha, Bodhisattva, Tirthankara, etc. The Gupta monarchs sported the major sects of Shaivism and Vaishnavism, and sculptors often created the pictures of their main deities. This shows a simple mastery of Puranic traditions including tales of Vishnu's incarnations or avatars as well as the smaller Vaishnavite deities. In the Devgarh temple, sculptures, representations from the lives of Rama and Krishna were successful. A statue of Harihara, the syncretic union of Vishnu and Shiva, was discovered in Madhya Pradesh. On the basis of variances in headdress and other traits, it is simple to distinguish the two sides of the composite representation. From Ara in Varanasi, present-day Uttar Pradesh, a beautiful example of Krishna lifting Mount Govardhana was found. A conscious sense of morality restrains the Gupta sculptor. Drapery was used in Kushana art to highlight the beauty of the flesh. However, in Gupta art, drapery was used to obscure the flesh. Nudity of any kind is completely prohibited. The Gupta Buddha statue has a great sense of spiritual serenity than the Gandhara and the Mathura styles of art from the preceding centuries. The Hellenistic influence apparent in Gandhara style was completely abandoned during the Gupta period. The most spectacular of the several Buddha pictures unearthed from Sarnath is one of the compassionate Buddha resting on a diamond seat in preaching Dharmachakra Pravartana posture, giving his first sermon. It is notable for its quiet, contemplative attitude and calm grin. The Sarnath style had an impact on eastern and western India as well as the Deccan. A standing Buddha from Mathura is another artwork worth noticing here. A bronze Buddha image about 6 feet tall was discovered in Sultanganj near Bhagalpur in present-day Bihar. It weighs more than a ton. Fahin mentions an 82-foot tall copper Buddha statue that has yet to be discovered. The Gupta artists created images in iron, copper and bronze, demonstrating their metallurgical expertise and knowledge of superior metal technology. There is ample evidence of widespread bronze casting throughout this time period. The Mehrauli iron pillar is the outstanding illustration of iron technology brilliance near Qutub Minar, Delhi. It's a solid shaft of pure iron that weighs about 6 tons. Despite being exposed to sun, rain and storms for over 1500 years, it has remained rust-proof and corrosion-free. Even now, no one knows how it was made. It amply demonstrates the Gupta's high level of technological advancement. Until near a century ago, no iron foundry in the West produced a pillar of this precise feature. These beautiful specimens are wonders of the Gupta artisans. Outstanding metallurgical ability. 3 Jaina sculptures from Durjanpura near Vidisha stand out. One of the best surviving depicts a central figure with hands in Dhyana Mudra. Although the body form resembles the preceding Kushana ideal, the decoration of the halo behind the head demonstrates the changeover to the Gupta model. All 3 are securely dated to the time of Gupta monarch Ramagupta, based on their inscriptions, and so, in addition to their artistic worth, they represent a vital document of Gupta history. The Ajanta caves are famous across the world for their stunning paintings. However, there are sculptures in these caverns that speak just as loudly about the magnificence of Gupta art. Consider the sight of Nagaraja reclining with his queen in Cave 9. The severely withered inscription accompanying the extraordinary larger than life-size horse sculpture at Kherigad, UP is thought to represent a sacrificial horse used by Samudragupta for one of his Ashwamedha ceremonies. His coins also show the Ashwamedha ceremony. The sculpture is constructed of sandstone. The Kherigad region was crucial in the early Gupta-Licchavi alliance. Dear students, let's now talk about the paintings. Painting in the Gupta dynasty took on new dimensions never seen before. Gupta paintings are unparalleled in ancient Indian history for its majesty and splendor. The most famous examples are the Ajanta frescoes, present day lies in Aurangabad district in Maharashtra, cave paintings at Bagh, which is in Dhar district in Madhya Pradesh, and Badami or Vatapi, which is present day Bhagalkot district, Karnataka, as well as faint remnants at numerous other locations. It appears that the Ajanta site was chosen by great visionaries and admirers of nature and its beautiful splendor. The Ajanta caves are situated on a long horseshoe-shaped ridge that overlooks a deep valley. They were number 29 with cave 1, 2, 16, 17 and 19 number surviving to gauge the quality of painting during the Gupta period. Although These frescoes date from the 1st to 7th century CE. The majority of them are from the Gupta period. The subject matter of Ajanta frescoes can be classified as Buddha and Bodhisattva figures, scenes and episodes from the Buddha's life, Jataka-based narratives, stories of previous births of the Buddha, natural representation such as flowers, trees and animals, mythological figures such as Yakshas, Apsaras and Gandharvas. The murals show scenes from both religious and secular life. Although the dominant theme is religious, practically all aspects of the secular sphere are represented in a realistic and natural manner. Flora and fauna have been freely painted in a masterful manner. Beautiful mountains, lush vegetation, forests and gardens, blooming flowers, creepers, flowering trees, flowing streams, soaring birds, fighting or springing animals, roaming predators, monkey jumping from branch to branch, and naive beings such as deer and elephants have all been painted, demonstrating how closely the painter observed, grasped, perceived, and understood the world and nature around him. While we are given a glimpse into the wealth of the wealthy, we are also shown scenes from the lives of mendicants and beggars. The wide variety of breathtakingly beautiful depictions also includes images of the meditating Buddha, the Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara and Padmapani, kings and queens, princes and princesses, nobles, warriors, sages, hunters, butchers, beautiful and graceful women as Apsaras, Nayikas, etc. Scenes from home, court and palace life, toilet and sports, processions and festivals, etc. Both sculptures and paintings of attractive women offer a vivid representation of their sense of style, how they wear their hair, the variety of decoration they wear, etc. Literary portrayals of feminine beauty frequently correspond to Ajanta's representations of women. Dear students, let's now talk about the growth of language. During the Guptas, the language known as classical Sanskrit evolved. Because of Ashoka's strong endorsement of Buddhism, Sanskrit had suffered a major blow since his reign. But it has a new lease on life under the Guptas. They proclaimed it the official language of their court and encouraged its usage widely. All of their inscriptions are in Sanskrit. Previously ignored due to the Buddhist and Jaina traditions, which authored their scriptures and literary works in vernacular dialectics like as Pali, Prakrit and Ardhamagadi. Thus, Sanskrit enjoyed a revival during Guptas. The Guptas were responsible for the resurgence of Sanskrit. As a result, it became a widely spoken language throughout northern India during this time period. Even Buddhist intellectuals, notably those of Mahayana Buddhism, began writing in Sanskrit. Similarly, many Jaina writings such as Nyaya-vatara and Tatvarth Adhigama Sutra were written in Sanskrit rather than Prakrit. This demonstrates Sanskrit's superiority over other languages that formerly dominated the linguistic landscape of ancient India. It took their place in literature, inscriptions and coins. This period produced great Sanskrit poets, dramatists, grammarians and playwrights. Apart from their expertise in political science and military and warfare studies, Gupta court ministers such as Harisena or Harishena were also renowned poets and authors. Most of the poets in Samudragupta's empire were patronized by him. In his honor, Harisena composed Prayag Prasasti Eulogy. It's an inscription on a pillar detailing his conquests, achievements and wins. Historians have also speculated that the panegyric on the Mehroli iron pillar was written by Veersena or Shaba, an outstanding poet and Chandragupta II's favorite minister. Dear students, let's now talk about the growth of literature. The passionate encouragement of Sanskrit by Gupta kings resulted in an all-encompassing growth of Sanskrit literature. There was an explosion of religious literature in the form of Simritis, Puranas, and epics. The intellectuals of the period presented, explained, and published precepts and doctrines of Neo-Hinduism, philosophical concepts, ethics, and so on. These Shastras or law books were written for the masses' education, edification, and culturing. During the Gupta period, many digests on moral and social conduct were written, including Vishnu Simriti, Narada Simriti, Yajnavalkya Simriti, Katyayana Simriti, and Brahaspati Simriti. The Puranas were originally considered bardic literature. They were in the hands of Brahman authors during the Gupta and post-Gupta periods, who added to the chronicles of regal dynasties that passages extolling, adoring, and venerating the Trideva or Trinity, that's Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. During this time, the most significant of the 18 Mahapuranas received their final shape. This stage produced some of the best Sanskrit literature. Around the 4th or 5th century CE, the epics Ramayana and Mahabharata are thought to have undergone revisions. The 1 lakh verse Mahabharata was added to the initial 24,000 verses, which is typically attributed to Ved Vyasa. It became recognized as Panchaveda or 5th Ved. This epic and other Shastras share a lot of common material. For instance, certain passages from the Manu Smriti are identical in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva. The greatest Sanskrit poet Kalidasa, one of the Chandragupta II's 9 luminary gems, Navratna, produced dramas like Abhijana Shakuntalam, Malvika Agnimitram, and Vikram or Vishyam, as well as poetic works like Raghuvamsam, Ritu Samhara, Kumahara Sambhavam, and Meghadutam that demonstrate the unmatched literary. According to legend, Kalidasa was familiar with the many branches of Brahminical knowledge. He is thought to have studied the entirety of the Vedic corpus, philosophical systems like Yoga and Sankhya, as well as fine arts like painting, music, and drawing. If his story of Shakuntala and her ultimate reunion with her beloved king Dushyant is his best work and remains the pinnacle of ancient Indian literature and stage craft, his Meghadutam, which is Cloud Messenger, has come to be regarded as the most interesting poetry ever composed in Sanskrit. Bhasha composed 13 plays. This era also produced another renowned poet, Bhairavi. He composed Kiratarjuniyam. Vishaka Datta is well known for his Mudrakshasa, the plot of which revolves around the cunning and scheming of the cunning Chanakya. As previously stated, Vatsayana wrote Kama Sutra, a treatise on pleasure or Kama. Sudraka, who is thought to be of royal descent, wrote the Mrichikatika, the little clay cart. Its central plot is around the love affair of the humble Brahman Charudatta and the attractive, cultured, accomplished, and affluent courtesan Vasantasena. With the probable exception of the Mrichikatika, the life of the royal court is abundantly depicted in these Sanskrit poems and dramas. This time period also saw the creation and refinement of Sanskrit grammar, which was built on the basis laid by Panini 6th to 4th century BCE and Patanjali 2nd century BCE. Another glory of Chandragupta Vikramaditya's court was the lexicographer Amar Simha, who wrote the most prominent Sanskrit lexicon Amarakosha, also called Namalinganu Sashana. It has remained an essential Sanskrit lexicon to this day. It is still memorized by students and academics when learning Sanskrit. Indians of the Gupta period developed a scientific spirit of enquiry and pursued scientific disciplines in addition to having great intellectual taste. Scientific research has received a lot of attention. The revolutionary discoveries of this time period are zero and the following evolution of the decimal system. Brahmagupta, Aryabhatta, and Varahamihira were the world's first and preeminent mathematicians and astronomers. Brihata Samhita is a work by Varahamihira that covers astronomy, astrology, botany, natural history, and physical geography. His Pancha Siddhantika illuminates 5 astronomical theories, Siddhanta, 2 of which are deeply familiar and closely related to Greek astronomical practice. From the Gupta era onwards, the Laghu Jataka and Brihaj Jataka, 2 of his creations on horology, were frequently studied. Aryabhatyam, a well-known text on geometry, algebra, arithmetic and trigonometry, was written by Aryabhata. He belonged to Pataliputra. He was an expert at many different calculations. Sushrut Samhita and Chark Samhita are 2 famous works on medicine. During this time, there was a general advancement in the production of knowledge and writing. The earliest thorough and methodical presentation of veterinary sciences is found in Maharishi Palakapaya's Hasta Ayurveda. A turning point in the development of philosophical concepts occurred during this time. The following 6 schools of thought were now the focus of the ongoing philosophical discussion. Nyaya, which is a school of analysis, Vaishishka, individual characteristics, Sankhya, enumeration, Yoga, application, Mimsa, that's inquiry, Vedanta, last portion of Vedas. The Jaina preachers of this period, most notably Bhadrabahu II, also began writing commentary on their canonical treatises, which were known as Niryuktis and Churnis. To summarize, this period was likewise a watershed moment in the history of classical literature. Sanskrit acquired an extravagant style that contrasted with the basic antique Sanskrit. Dear students, let's now talk about stylistic features. The delicate folds of the transparent garment adorning the Gupta figures were done in a beautiful style. The profusely decorated hollow is another special feature of the art of the Gupta figure. The relief work reaches perfection here. The delicate modeling of forms with meditative repose rendered the Buddha and Bodhisattva figures of the Gupta period most attractive. The Gupta figures are carved with elaborately carved ornamental details which make the divine figures very special in appearance. The art of terracotta and casting figures in stucco reached its zenith in this period. The artist tried clay figurines on a small scale, whereas the stucco figurines are in large dimensions. The eyes of Gupta sculptures are beautifully shaped, half closed in yogic posture. The face is generally oval-shaped with sharp features. The overall treatment of the figures is highly idealized, evoking serenity. The drapery is light and clings to the body, exposing the softness of the body. The Gupta artists showed an equal ingenuity in the carving of metal image also. The bronze Buddha image from Sultanganj is excellent specimen, testifying to the skill and ability of the Gupta metal carvers. We have seen how the Gupta era's contribution to the world were significant. Their sound administrative and economic systems were built in addition to their great political influence. In addition, they made significant contributions to the fields of literature, science, art and architecture. Buddhist art flourished and Vedic religion was restored in Ajanta. Writing literature during this time period created a solid foundation for all of the arts. Gupta art is the source of many traditional Indian arts, including dance, music, sculpture, painting and building. Dear students, that was all about today's lecture regarding the art under Guptas. Hope you have understood it well. We shall meet again with a new topic. Till then, take care of yourself and goodbye.